This is the Relentless Podcast. My name is Christine. I'm a small business owner and student of success. I have become obsessed with talking with other entrepreneurs about their strategies, struggles, tactics, and routines. One of the key qualities that all of these individuals have in common, their ability to be relentless. I'm joined here today with Tom and Sierra Ende. I don't think they need an introduction, but I'm going to let them tell us a little bit about who they are.
So Tom and Sierra Ende, we are freshly married, but long time together, high school sweethearts. I'm a musician and a photographer, and Sierra is a fine artist and a photographer. And so that photography aspect is kind of like where we team up, and and that's where we do our business, Tom and Sierra Wedding Photography. And we've been doing that for a solid amount of time now.
Launched in 2018. Yeah. Had like the first real season in 2019. 2020
kind of sucked.
Pretty normal for everybody.
But we're back on track now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. So that's why I wanted you guys to kind of do your own intro, because I'm like, oh my God, they do kind of a little bit of everything. And when I think of you guys just have this like very cool and creative and artistic vibe in kind of everything that you do. You just seem like very creative people. And so you guys do photography, you do a little graphic design, you do singing, you do pet portraits. I mean, what are each of you working on right now? Like what were you doing before you came in today?
Well, I was editing photos.
Okay.
We are in the bulk of the wedding season right now.
Yeah.
And I do all the editing for the weddings. It's kind of just like a fair trade. Tom does the emailing and talking to the clients.
Okay.
He's really good at that. And then I'm just more detail oriented, and I love editing the photos.
Okay.
So I just do that now. Tom, he's happy to take the photos and then walk away.
And it actually kind of saves my life a little bit, because I get really busy with music during the on season of photography as well.
Ooh.
And I'm taking other photo clients and video clients all the time. And so for Sierra to just cover all things wedding, like on the editing side of things, it's such a big job, and it's such an important job that she's right. Like I don't want to like diss myself, but I wouldn't have the attention to detail. And there was a while where we were splitting it up, and it
wasn't working.
It wasn't as organized.
You can't edit separately the same wedding, because then you put all the photos together, and it's like, oh, your photos are a little warmer than mine. How did that
It's not like a cohesive thing.
Cohesive. Yeah, and I get a really sick satisfaction out of it. I love it.
She does.
Yeah,
really, really enjoy editing the weddings. I will go through the gallery like 3 separate times.
Yeah.
Like Tom will just edit it once, and then
I'm
he's
like,
just
I'm pretty sure
it's
I'm
ready.
good.
And
I feel
I'm
like it's
no,
good to go.
Not. Like we have to look at this one more time.
Yeah.
So, yep, I was editing photos. I kind of have put pet portraits on the back burner for the summer.
Okay.
Because I made the mistake of taking on pet portraits during the summer last year, and it was like, wake up, edit photos, go upstairs, paint, and it became way too much.
Yeah.
So now I'm saving the pet portraits for like the holiday season.
Okay, that makes sense. That's funny. When I was preparing for this, I was kind of thinking about that. I was like, so you guys are creative in so many different areas. Like, is it hard to jump from one to the other, or does one kind of inspire the next? Like, how do you thrive in all these areas? Like, tell me, what's your secret? I'm dying to know.
It's a weird thing to like pitch. I've always just used the term like creative entrepreneur, because it feels like I'm always just trying to monetize whatever I'm good at.
Yeah.
It's really like, can I monetize this?
Yeah.
And I will.
Hey, that's good.
But yeah, it can be. I think photo and music work really well for me, because I actually only really got into photo because of music.
Okay.
So I wanted to make cover videos, and I was just researching what are the best tools to do that. And
Okay.
that's when I came into DSLR cameras.
Yeah.
I had done a lot of filming of skateboarding when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of knew what I was looking at. I didn't technically know the exposure triangle and how to use it, but it led into it. So the entire time that I've been doing music, I've been also like self-shooting a lot, where Sierra shoots. Pretty much anything where I can't be holding the camera. Like the Sunshine Love thing that we just put out, that's Sierra on the other end of the camera.
Okay.
So thank you, Sierra. I love
You're
you.
welcome.
You're amazing.
Yeah.
He pays me in food.
I literally do.
Yeah.
Hey, I like that
He
arrangement.
takes me out
That's
to
good.
eat. Yeah.
Can I get you to shoot this video? I'll buy you lunch.
Yeah.
So Sierra has been like insanely helpful and supportive in that end. And I think being able to use our own projects to practice photo and video as we were getting started was a really good way. And so I think they flow pretty easily, actually.
Yeah.
And I feel comfortable either way because I'm typically, like she said, I answer emails and take phone calls and do FaceTime meetings and stuff. And
Not so fun stuff.
but the stuff that, you got to be a special kind of guy to be like taking client calls and things like that. So we just kind of work on each other's strengths and cover each other's weaknesses, or I guess maybe the things the other one doesn't want to do.
Yeah.
It's not that Sierra can't take calls, and it's not that I can't edit weddings, but
You've
found like this good balance of what works for each of you, and it.
Well, we're kind of like opposites. So it's like he wants to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
I'm more willing to go sit in the corner. Not really say much.
Honestly, for me, that's been one of the harder things for me too about business, is because, and I seem very outgoing to people. People are like, you're such a natural. And I'm like, yeah, I can totally talk to anybody. I love people, but I'm also very introverted. Like there are some times where I'm like, I don't want to fucking see anyone today. Like it takes every ounce of energy that I have just to like go in and be around people. And sometimes you have to be on when you don't want to be. And that's one of the harder things for me, where I'm like, I love that I have staff now that sometimes I can be like, I'm going to be back there on the computer. Like you handle this. Cause I mean, for me, that's like the biggest struggle is having to be on when the introvert in me is just like, I want to go home and be by myself.
I think also like when you're in a smaller town, like we all are, like your business, like you are your business, and people come in, they want to support you. And so when they see you there, they're kind of like probably expecting, I would imagine,
Yeah. And I mean, and that's one of the, I should say too, that's difficult, because when people come in and they do want to see me, it is hard because I want to be there then. I want to fill that need for you. And it's like, I had to put up some boundaries just because if everyone comes in and they need me, like the business is halted. Like I also do the purchasing. I do the marketing. I put together the email blast. Like I do all of those things. And so it's like, I can't do both. And so I think that's why we were so careful in selecting what staff we brought in. I didn't want to just like say any rando on the street, just come in and be a cashier. Like Jenna is like me. She's very personable. She's got like a good energy about her. And when people come in, like she's genuinely excited to see them and help them, wants to help out. So that's been a good thing to have too, because it is hard because you can't always do everything for the business. I mean, that's tough.
And it definitely seems like it's cool when the local businesses create almost like their own little, it's like you have like your own little band. Like that's your band. Like, it's pretty much your band.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think is tough for Sierra and I, is like we don't really have any opportunity to I guess delegate maybe isn't the right word, but like we're not hiring anybody. You can't have someone besides Tom and Sierra at Tom and Sierra Wedding Photography.
Right.
Well, it's like I'm very much an introvert as well. It's like when I go photograph a wedding and I'm around so many people, I need like 2 days to recover. Like, I don't want to leave the house because I just spent 8-10 hours like talking to everybody.
Overload.
Small talk with wedding guests.
Yes.
And stuff. And then you come home and you're like, oh my gosh, like I need to stay in my house. But I will say in the aspect of like not having employees is I get really lonely too though. Because I spend Monday through Friday sitting at home at the kitchen table, editing photos. And it's like, Tom comes and goes. Like, he's there working too, but he also has all of his shows in the summer too. So it's like he packs up and he leaves. And then I'm just sitting there and I'm like, how many more Netflix shows can I watch?
Surrounded by cats.
Well, because I'm sitting there, I'm like editing the photos. I have Netflix on my iPad, like right next to me. And I'm just like, that's my life. And sometimes I do get a little lonely. I'm like, oh man, like I kind of wish I just had like somebody on the other end of the table, like working with me.
Yeah, my husband is a photographer and he has the same setup, and it's either YouTube, podcasts, or he'll put just like old movies or shows or something on. And same thing, I'll come in and I'm like, I don't want to talk because I've been on all day. And he's like, you're literally the first person I've seen in 24 hours, like he just wants, and I can imagine that's got to be very lonely because you have to be so dialed in too. You can't just like effortlessly go through photos. And so you're just like in the zone. And so, yeah, it's nice that you guys do have these different mediums that you can kind of swap to when you want to be a little more social. So how do you guys, I mentioned my husband's a photographer and I don't really have much to do with the business anymore. We don't do a lot of weddings. And so I've kind of been able to pull out, but do you guys, like, have you had to kind of find a rhythm working together? Like, do you deal with, like, when you're at a wedding, do you have to, like, put aside if you had a fight that morning? Like, how do you deal with the fact that you guys are in a relationship together and you work together? Because I need to know.
Well, from my point of view, and then I'll let him like have his point of view too. I feel like we're really good at it. I don't like remember trying to find a rhythm. Like it just kind of naturally has happened.
Yeah.
Like, we're really good at working together. We respect each other, which is really important in that type of relationship as well. And I just have a lot of fun. I don't know if I'd want to shoot weddings without him. Like, I just enjoy the process of waking up and getting ready together and driving to the wedding and shooting together. And we have a lot of fun. If we're like not vibing that day, so to speak, it doesn't affect us in terms of like working. We tend to get over whatever we bickered about like really quickly.
Nice.
So for me, I feel like it's always been super easy. I don't know if Tom has a different opinion on that.
Well, no,
He's like, oh shit, I'm changing my answer now. No.
Backtracking.
No, I did have a follow-up question. Do we ever get a Brad episode? Do we ever get to see Brad Van
It's
Dusen?
funny. I said to him yesterday when my person canceled, I was like, do you want to be my interview today? Because
You should do that.
we will at some point, I think, because I think that would be good. Because we, like I say, we work together, but now we both are very busy in our separate businesses. So, I mean, when he's in sports photo mode, we don't even see each other very often.
But that's a back end that I would be so interested in. Like, I would love to hear Brad's perspective on tackling that market as opposed to seniors, as opposed to weddings, as opposed, like, there's so many different types of photography, and each one has its own challenge and reward. And I'd love to hear all that stuff.
Yeah, we got to bring him on. And I mean, it's one of those things too where I'm going to have to say to him, like, can you share some of the stories? Because he's got some stories and it's been challenging in different ways. I mean, as you know, when you're doing weddings, it's just like you're at someone's best day. You know what I mean? Like there's just such a good energy. It's exciting. You might have like a drunk person or something, but for the most part, people are in really good spirits. When you're photographing teenagers at a school, it can be very different. I mean, and I had to kind of explain to him the girl aspect too, because like he didn't understand. I'm like, teenage girls are not allowed to say that they're pretty. Because he's like, everyone comes up and they're like, oh my God, I'm so ugly. And I'm like, yeah, they have to say that. That's like a rule at that age.
It's not my fault.
He's like, he's thinking they're saying this is a terrible photo. And I'm like, do not take this personally. I'm like, everyone who comes through, and I'm like, and they're all beautiful. They'll realize it when they're in their late 20s. It's fine. But so I'll get him on here to kind of share some of that. But so how do you feel about you guys working together?
So I think it's great. I think it kind of goes back to us leaning into the things that we're good at. Maybe for better or for worse, it could be a blessing or a curse. I think it's both. I'm the type that, like, I can't help but kind of step up in every situation. I take the room over, and it doesn't always leave space for everybody else, which I think is probably the worst part about it. Like, if I'm at a group of 8 people and there's something we got to accomplish, I'm the first one to be like, okay, everybody, so I think we could do this. If unless anybody else has ideas. Yep. And I think that's helpful, but it can also be really like overshadowing to everybody else, where it's kind of like, so I've been trying to do a better job at slowing down at wedding days and just kind of taking things slowly, breathing between things. Yeah. I'm normally like, we could shoot there, we could shoot there, we could shoot there. I think we'll go over here. And if I could get you guys to come on over there, and mom and dad, you guys are good. Okay, great. We're good. And it's like, all right.
Yes. I've had to tell him before. I have had conversations with him where I'm just like, just slow down. Nothing is as urgent as you think it is. Right. And then also, he has a bigger voice than me. I'm, shy. And
Are you saying that I have extreme vocal power?
Yeah,
texture,
maybe.
clarity, and pitch?
Something along those lines. But I've had to like ask him before, like, hey, like, can you leave a little space for me to get my ideas out there? But yeah, other than that, like, we work really well together.
Yeah, and I think it's a situation where, like, there are certain parts of the day where you don't necessarily need 2 people. So there's better ways to kind of split tasks up. And And so I think that's really helpful for us. Another thing that I'll say that I feel is pretty like maybe unique, I guess, or like a big strength of us working together is a lot of the times when you're shooting weddings, you'll get your lead photographer, and then they hire out a second photographer, and you get your leader and your intern, basically.
Yep.
And they are glorified. They get that intern kind of role. They just kind of stand around and wait to be told what to do next. They don't really want to split off from the lead photographer. There's a reason why they're the second most of the time. And so for us, it just feels great because you really have two leads.
Yeah.
If we got to split up, we split up. If there's two completely separate getting ready situations, then you know that neither party like got the lesser photographer. It's like either way, you're safe. You're going to shoot things relatively the same, and no matter what, you're in trusted hands. There's no intern energy here. No mistakes will be made, and so it just feels good to kind of be able to rely on Sierra, and
and
same
you
goes
guys,
for Ken too. Just relying on partners.
Yep, and you have a consistency. Like you both are going into every wedding with a similar vision. Like you're on the same page. I feel like when, and not speaking ill of anyone, obviously, but if you do have to outsource, it might be inconsistent based on who you're getting, unless you're hiring the same person every time. And it's interesting that you said that about, you kind of taking over and taking charge in certain situations, because that's me too. When I would be there as the second shooter, and all of a sudden I feel like I'm the wedding coordinator, and I'm like, guys, we need to be outside in 5 minutes. Like where, you know what I mean? And so like that's how I am too. And Brad's like, I just need you to take the ring photos. like, can you just, and so that would always be interesting. But I mean, I felt like we left every wedding like friends with the people though. Like, do you guys feel that way? Like I that was my favorite part, and what I kind of miss about weddings is it's like, you do spend like from the stressful part of getting ready, and then you're doing all this stuff. Like, I feel like you just get to know these people.
Yeah, like the entire day you're spending with them. And then in addition, we offer like engagement sessions in some of our packages. So it's like, I always love when we do the engagement session, because that's like the first time we really meet them. Yeah. And then you establish a relationship that way. And then you're in contact before the wedding. And by the time you're done with the wedding and you're like giving them a hug goodbye at the end of the night on the dance floor, I'm just like, I know you.
Yeah.
Like I really know you at this point. And I've met your parents and your grandparents and your friends. And we always leave like feeling pretty happy and like connected with the couple. And then also it's kind of hilarious because lately all of our couples have like, we show up and they all have sour gummy worms waiting for us, because we've been posting on our story. We get sour gummy worms on wedding day, and we keep them in our backpack, and we just eat them throughout the day as like a little snack.
You just need that brain food.
And it's so nice. We posted it like twice, and now we show up and all the couples have bags waiting for us.
Oh
and
my
I'm
God,
just
that's
like,
amazing.
This is a great way to start the day though, because I already feel so loved and welcome.
Yeah.
like,
and they're watching you too. It's not like, oh, our wedding photographers, whoever, like they're invested in you guys, and they're excited to have you there, which is awesome.
I like getting to like, maybe it's just a groom thing. I don't know, because I'm usually with the groom for getting ready. I do kind of double dip where it makes sense, but they always get so much more comfortable when they get with their partner. And it's like, it's just great to see them go from like nervous, like I don't even know how to communicate, to like, okay, I'm with my partner now. I feel good. And it's cool to watch that happen, even just from like a side perspective. And as the day goes on, as they get more comfortable and we get to know them, but seeing them reunite with their partner is always.
Well, have you guys ever been approached by like someone who you did their wedding and now they have a baby to be like, guys, we really want you to do the photos. Like, do you have to just stay in the wedding lane? Have you committed to that, or have you considered going outside?
We've pretty much committed to the wedding lane. We've had like a few people, not anyone that we shot weddings for, come to us asking for like maternity shoots and stuff. And I just feel like there's other photographers who are really passionate about that, and like that's their expertise, and there's a special way to go around it as well. And I think that we're really good at just knowing what we're good at and what we're passionate about, because it's like, I don't want someone to pay me money to do a job that I'm not passionate about, because it's not fair to them, and then it's not fair to me either. And it's just there's photographers out there who really, really make that their, that's their main photography. So I think we stick to weddings.
For me, I'm a little more willing to blur lines, mainly for friends and family, where it's like, if I know that I'm helping out somebody that I'm tight with, then like, I just want to be able to help them. Like that's one thing
Yeah.
I really like.
Then
about
you're
I've done-
passionate about them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
I've done
Yep.
senior portraits for a family member before.
Same.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
same.
yeah, I don't like.
Anybody else?
I don't
though,
make
we,
that my thing though.
we send straight to Brad.
I actually just
We
sent,
do. We literally do.
I did. I sent Brad's information to somebody like 2 weeks ago.
Well,
so.
thank you.
Is it-
I
it
know
just-
he loves the seniors. 'Cause especially when he gets a call and it'll be like, well, you know, he races cars or he does something like that's the stuff where Brad really likes
Yeah.
it. And I think he identifies too. I mean, he does a lot of young girls, but he identifies too with like the guys who come and they're just like, I'm doing this for
Yeah.
my mom,
Yeah.
like, and trying to like
He's like,
crack
"I'm gonna
them a
make it
little and
cool,"
open
yeah.
them up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's interesting too, because I mean, we started doing weddings in the beginning because number one, it was really fun. And there's decent money in that lane, but it is a lot of work and it's very difficult to wear all the hats. And like you say, put that creative energy and that passion to kind of be more focused with it. I do think it can create a better product. At least that's been our experience. So it's interesting to hear that that's how you guys feel too.
Yeah.
So I want to switch a little bit. Tom, this has been a big week for you. You had another single released. So I have to tell you first that Ridin' Vibin' is one of my favorite songs.
That.
So
Love
number
that
one, the
so
music
much.
video is amazing. And that was you, then you.
Yes,
And
yes.
so that's been on the Blush Boutique playlist for over a year. But so we just added the new single. So tell us about the new single, who wrote it, what it was like making the video, all the things.
Okay. First of all, just like big thank you because I think playlisting in that exact format
Mm-hmm.
is such a powerful thing for just residual plays as
Yeah.
a musician. Like that's kind of the ideal setup is like, can I get on an everyday
Mm-hmm.
station, so to speak? So for you to do that, awesome. So appreciate that. And even just, playing the little video when it shows up on Facebook, when I put it out, like that means a lot because it's really easy to just skip people's stuff. So thank you for listening. And anybody else who listens, when we stream, they call them lurkers, people who watch the stream but don't chat.
Okay.
I think we might all be surprised how many lurkers we have.
I think I'm a lurker though. I
You
don't
might be.
chat.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I don't chat ever.
social media in general, though, like
Yeah.
people who are like big time subscribers, they watch everything you do.
Okay.
But they don't
Interact that much.
interact that much,
Okay.
but they're
Yeah.
paying very close attention.
Right.
So
Okay.
I
I'm
just
a
want
lurker.
to shout out to the lurkers.
We're the
Um,
lurkers.
But yeah, so Sunshine Love, that's a song that I wrote. Actually, you know what? If I can find it like really fast,
Sure.
I was asked by the distributor, who's like, they're kind of like a label to us, but without any negative sides,
Okay.
to describe the song. And I wrote
Oh.
this little like blurb
Okay.
that I loved. I thought was very fitting.
Was this for like the Spotify thing? Or?
Yeah, so when you get a song on the internet, there's all these different things that you have to put down, just to kind of like get it categorized
Okay. Yeah.
successfully, because the algorithm is
Yes.
everybody bow down to the algorithm.
Yes.
Will ever understand?
But so there's a lot of like little back end questions you have to answer and things that go into it.
Okay.
So I wrote a little blurb on it.
Okay.
Okay, this is it. Sunshine Love is a mood booster. The track was inspired by reggae but transformed for Indie Bros format. Tasteful guitar parts complement a simple beach pop track with easy hooks and harmonies throughout. Indie Bros wanted a singable, simple bop with some sparkle. Sunshine Love was written to accomplish that.
Wow.
So that was my little, and I'm like, that's actually
that was
that's
nice.
the best way to
That
describe
was
it.
perfect.
So yeah, so everything that Ken and I do is pretty collaborative. There's not anything that's Indie Bros that doesn't have both of our flavors.
Okay.
And so I'm a very straightforward, they call it a 1-4-5, the pop progression of like, when Ed Sheeran plays 100 songs with 4 chords, those chords. basically.
Okay.
I'm that guy. Whereas Kenny is a little more sophisticated. He wants more out of it. He's a lot more of a sensitive artist. And so I bring the basic singable pop, like workability to it. And he always brings the sophistication. So, yeah, this song is exactly that. I don't know if it's probably about a 50-50 split, everything we do. Generally, I'll come up with something I'll bring it to Ken. He'll say, okay, I like this. I don't like that. Let me try to rewrite this. And then we take that and we do it again. And we say, okay, I like this, but not that. Let's try to rewrite that. And then we play it a few times over live. And if it works, then it works and it's good to go.
Yeah.
Sunshine Love works. That's why I was like, oh, we wanted something very approachable musically. Because it's tough when you write something that's hard to perform.
Mm-hmm.
Our last song we did, Caffeine, it's a really cool song, but it's hard to perform. Like,
Yeah.
it's sneaky difficult. And so anybody who may have ever tried, it's I have to sing it and it's not fun. So it's not that I can't do it, but let's make something easy to accomplish so that when I go out to do it, I do it well.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I take that to photography and videography too, where like, I don't ever really want to bite off something that I can't chew. And so I like accessible projects that I can knock out of the park. And so Sunshine Love was that.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just, as a listener, it's great. I love your vibe, but it's just fun. Like, it's something that it's like, it's sunny and I put my windows down in my car. What do I want to play? Like, that's the song you want to play. Like, it just puts you in a good mood. I love things that are a little bit romantic. I'm like a hopeless romantic. I grew up with rom-coms. So I love a song that's like about a good, easy, fun relationship.
Yep.
And so that's why I just love the music. And it's perfect, like I say, for my store for a summer playlist. I mean, it's just, it's right there. So, and it just seems like you just are a very collaborative person. And I love that, like, in both partnerships that you have, you know, you just kind of ebb and flow and everybody finds their strengths. And I mean, have you always been like that, or is that something you have to work on?
I think I have always been like that just because my brother and I grew up very close in age. We shared a bedroom. We shared literally everything.
Yeah.
We shared an Xbox. Like, that type of, we share all the
hardcore,
same passions because whatever he did, I just wanted to do too. So
Yeah.
we both skateboard. We both play music. So a lot of the stuff that we do is we're a team in. And so in being with Sierra, it's kind of the same thing. Like, anything that's mine is hers, and anything we do together, I usually, you know, I feel better that we're doing it together. I feel
Right.
lucky that I have a partner who I can rely on and who can make me better. And I think that's the other thing with collaboration is if you get a good collaboration, then both sides are making each other better.
Yeah.
And so I'm more than happy to be made better.
Yeah.
You know, like,
It's a pretty good
anybody
deal,
wants
right?
to support me, then I might as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love a good collaboration, and I'm also generally pretty unoffendable. So
Okay.
I'm happy to.
Not a sensitive artist.
Yeah, I'm not a sensitive
It's
artist.
not.
I am so sensitive. And that it's funny. One of the questions that I like to ask people who put out content or who take these risks. And I mean, because when you put out a piece of art, that's putting like your soul out for people to see, review, critique. And like, how do you deal with criticism? Like, do you parse what's constructive criticism and maybe something that, you know, you should pay attention to with somebody who's just being an asshole? Like, how do you deal with that? What do you look at the comments? How do you do it?
Okay, for me, I don't take it very well.
Same.
Like, if it truly is like constructive criticism, I think it bothers me more in the sense that like I kind of feel like, oh no, like I didn't do it right or I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
But I do use it to kind of like reshift and see what I can do to like do better.
Yeah.
In terms of just like negative comments, I mean, I don't have a lot of followers, so I don't really get like negative stuff, so to speak. But in terms of putting my artwork out, I am always very nervous about it.
Yeah.
I'm very, very hard on myself. I'm not sure like anyone who creates isn't, maybe except for Tom, but not a sensitive artist.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm always second guessing everything.
Yeah.
Whenever I post artwork or even photos on our business page,
Yeah.
I'll go back and look at it like 5 more times throughout the day, maybe even 10. I'm just like, was it a good enough post? Like, are those photos good enough? Was that painting good enough? And after about 24 hours, I kind of forget about it and move on. But I do have a hard time with it. I'm always assuming that somebody is thinking badly about it. But then at that point, I just have to remember that art is subjective and it's not for everyone. So what you create there's going to be people who don't like it, and then there's going to be people who absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't comment on
They
it,
could
but they're
be
out there
lurkers.
and they
They
love
could be
it.
lurking.
Exactly.
A lot of lurkers out there.
I had people come up to me and be like, "Oh my gosh, I saw your recent painting. I love it." And I was like, "I didn't even know you paid attention. Wow,
Yeah.
thank you so much." Like,
Well, and it's kind of funny too, because I feel like in real life, people are pretty awesome. Like we get people like that all the time. And it's like you say, it's people who you didn't even know were watching. And you're like, oh my God, thank you. And then, when you look in the comment section, it's like, number one, I think that some people do just troll. That's just their thing. But one thing I started to notice that's helped me a little bit, and that I try to tell my staff, is I go, most of the people who are just the shit talkers, not the constructive criticism, but just the ones who, tell us that like we're just terrible people and all that stuff. It's like, they're not content creators. They're not contributing the stuff. They're just the reviewer. They're the lurkers, but they're the mean ones. And like, they're literally just looking at other people's work and critiquing it. And so it's like, you have to just kind of take that with like a consider the source attitude too, of like, if this person is contributing and they're putting stuff out and they have feedback on what I'm doing, I actually do want to hear it, even if it's going to be painful. And because I'm very critical of myself too. I don't know if it's a female thing, but
I'm sure. No, I'm sure it is. I mean,
yeah.
the world is designed to
yeah.
make females second guess.
And we're perfectionists. It's like you feel like you have to have everything perfect before you can release it. And so you feel just very vulnerable. But I mean, that's been one thing that's definitely helped. But I still get the twinge. I mean, when this first podcast came out, I like told all my family, I'm like, listen, it's not that good. And, like I had to prepare them. And I'm like, it gets better. And, and it's like this precursor. And it's like, Christine, come on, just try to be confident. But it's a struggle. And I think it just speaks to how much we care about the stuff that we're putting out there. And we want people to find value in it. It's not just give ourselves credit.
Yeah, I'm generally pretty unaffected. I've gotten probably more negative comments than anybody. Like because of our past with YouTube, it's like a very anonymous place to leave comments.
Yeah.
And we've got like hundreds of thousands of views on videos that now are like 10 years old. And the negative comments keep rolling in. I get them by email all the time. And like,
that's bananas.
Great way to start your day.
Yeah, it's like, I've just gotten really good at just shaking my head and moving on.
Oh, I would never go on. I mean, you guys could have like a epic fail, which you wouldn't, but I would never comment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you just, as someone who puts yourself out there, you just wouldn't. You're like, I just want to root for people. I want to cheer them on. Let me share their stuff. I've just always been that way because I know how hard it is and how vulnerable you can feel to do stuff like that. And so, but yeah, it's never people who contribute.
Yeah. If you like click on their profile, it's like, they don't do anything.
No.
It's like the people who are leaving the nastiest comments, like they're not out there creating music. They're not posting music videos. They're not painting. They're not, you know what I mean?
An expert would cheer you on.
Exactly.
They would be like, oh, this is great. You're doing good. Keep it up.
Well, and I think too, there's like this old school narrative too of like, of competition. Now here, my husband is a photographer. I used to work with him. You guys are photographers. And I think that there are some people who would be like, why are they sharing each other's posts? Like, why are they? And to me, I'm like, no, we need to be like, I've just always felt like you should cheer for people. I think there's enough room for everybody. And like, I want to promote people who are good because number one, it's good to have a relationship to where if we couldn't do something, we would obviously refer them to you. Or also like, there's nothing worse for the business than a terrible photographer. Like that gives the business a bad name. Yeah. And so I think it's really important to spread awareness about people who are good at their craft. I mean, how do you guys feel about that?
For me, I feel like I've never really felt in competition with anyone in terms of wedding photography because I have this heightened sense of every photographer has such a different style.
Yeah.
Every photographer has a certain vibe. Some like more posed type of Vogue coverage of a wedding. Others are more like photojournalistic. Yeah. And I think that there is a photographer for everybody. And I don't feel like any of us are the same. I feel
Yeah.
like we all have different strengths. We all have different weaknesses. And so I love following other photographers on
Yeah.
our wedding page. I love liking all their stuff. I'm inspired by the stuff that they
Right.
post. And I just have a strong realization that it's like the clients who find us, they find us because they find something in our work that they really, really like.
Yeah.
And clients who don't want to book us, that's okay, because there's a photographer out there who there's something about them that client really loves
Yeah.
that maybe we don't have. And I just like, I don't know. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah. I know it does. And I think the other thing is just like having allies in your market is so important too, just because you literally can't take every wedding.
Yeah.
In fact, you can only take one a day.
Yeah.
So
And there are a lot of weddings happening every
and
year.
so
Yeah.
it's better to be able to pass them off to somebody
Mm-hmm.
and make, your ally happy, make your potential client happy. Everybody ends up happy. Like
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do it a lot musically where I have friends that we play the same types of gigs and all we do is help each other.
Yeah.
It has never been anything but positive. We all just did better because we had each other in each
Yep.
other's corners. And I think that's true in any business. Like you see it a lot in the craft beverage market around here. Like
Yeah.
there's a reason why all of them work together and
Yep.
plan events together and cross promote. And, you need a wine trail event. You
Yeah.
don't need a single winery event.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So there's always, again, power in collaboration.
Well, and I just love seeing people succeed. Like when I see someone like killing it, and I guess it's just how I'm wired, but I'm not like, oh man, they did it before me. It's like, oh my God, they did it. That means I could do something similar. I could also succeed. Like it's more inspiring to me than, obviously there are times when you're like, damn, I should have thought of that or something, but I love that, we're not in Hollywood, we're not in Nashville, we're not in these like booming markets. And yet when you see someone putting out great music or putting out great photos, I just think it's so exciting to see that. So, okay, at the end of every episode, we do a little rapid fire question. Do you think you guys can handle a little rapid fire?
Well,
I think
worst case,
I
we
think
can't.
yeah.
We could always edit it out.
And you have to cut it out.
Okay, I know. I feel like I could riff and talk with you guys for hours, but I guess we got to wrap things up here. So, okay, here we go. So answer in like one word, one phrase, and you can either both answer or you can pick. So what is something that you believed about business when you started that you no longer believe?
It has to be rapid. Well, I'll say this. I believe that I could fly under the radar legally. No longer believe.
No.
Yeah, I was. I stopped that right away.
Yes.
Right. So
I got on his ass about all the things he needed to be doing.
now we're
Yeah.
very compliant.
Yeah, he was not happy, but I fixed it.
I know. It's no fun.
But I believed it. I no longer do.
Okay.
Nailed it. Ding.
Sarah, do you have anything to add?
Not really. I don't know. I can't think of any. Okay. I think that in the beginning, I did not think I was capable enough to be able to do it, to be able to make it on my own and have a full-time income by myself.
Yeah.
So that was a misconception because now here I am. This
Could
is
you go?
going
Yeah.
into my second full year of just being completely employed by myself.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So
That's awesome. I think that's a common fear. But it's almost like sometimes I think you hold yourself back by not just going all in,
and I second
that's
guess
awesome.
everything. So
Yeah.
working on that.
That's amazing. Okay. What is the biggest lie or myth about entrepreneurship? Either that you've seen online or.
I don't know if it's a myth or a lie, but one thing's for sure. You have this really sick cross between no time off and all the time off in the world. And it's like,
Yes.
it somehow is both and neither at the same time. It's so weird. Like,
Well, here's what I appreciate about our situation. Other than having to be at a wedding, I'm just editing photos at home or I'm painting at home. So I don't have to do it at a particular time during the day. That's what
Yeah.
I really like.
and therefore,
So although I'm
you have
working,
to do it at all times
I
of the
know.
day because of that.
sometimes I'll
Like,
spend like 10 hours a day like working on stuff, which is obviously more than if I was to go clock into a 9 to
Yep.
5. But the good thing about it is that I can take breaks when I want to. I can go
Yes.
for a walk when I want to. I can work out whenever I feel like it. I don't have to be sitting there
Yep.
permanently from 9 to 5.
But
So
you-
I do have all the time, and I have no time at all.
You
all at
lose
same
the
time.
ability to fully detach.
Yeah.
Because even
Yeah,
when
no,
you're on a
it's-
vacation, you're scheming, you're
Yeah.
getting emails, you feel like you got to answer them. And when you're home and it's 9 o'clock and you've worked all day, you're kind of like,
I did that the other
I
night.
should be editing
We were
photos right
sitting
now.
on the couch at like 9:30, and I was like, should I go back to
There's this
editing
nagging
photos?
guilt.
Yeah, and
And I'm
Tom
like,
was like,
no.
no, you don't need to do that. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But it's
I
like
know.
we're off all the time, and yet somehow we're
The
always
guilt,
on.
the guilt never
Yeah.
really goes away. I think
No.
that there's no like clocking out.
Right.
Yep.
No clock out.
No,
Yeah.
I know. And we'll have to have you back because that's a whole podcast in itself, is all of that. Okay, so you need to be inspired or, take 5 to just like get the creative juices flowing again. Where do you go? Do you go to a place? Do you listen to a podcast? What do you do?
Okay, I take a nap every day. That might be controversial. But I'm not kidding.
You're a napper.
I call it second day. And when I
Okay.
get burnt out, I go take a nap. It's around 3 or 4 every day. I'm like a little kid. And then I wake up, but then I immediately do my workout. And then I get second caffeine, I call it.
Okay.
And then I am just ready to go for like 4 or 5 more hours. Like, it's insane. I call it second
Interesting.
day. Yeah. So
Okay.
I wake up, drink my coffee, work, and then I nap. And then
Okay.
I
Yeah.
do it all over again. But it works so well for me. Because I've noticed that if I try to power through the burnout,
Yeah.
anything that I'm working on goes to shit.
And you have to redo
have to
half of
redo
it
all
anyway.
of it.
Yep.
We do take a lot of walks throughout the day
Yes.
too. Those are nice little 15, 20 minute like breaks.
Yeah.
I think for me, I'm fully relying on caffeine for day-to-day motivation. Like
Yep.
fully.
We might
No
not be
ifs,
the
ands,
healthiest.
Oh, I'm a
couple
full-blown
over
addict.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But then I'll say there is this like magic kind of situation for me where I get the caffeine, but I'm, let's say, like driving. I drive an hour to get my haircut because I think haircuts are very important.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. But
Me as a
anyways,
guy.
I get my caffeine, and then I have to do nothing for an hour while I'm drinking my caffeine but drive. And I'm like, the times where my hands are, metaphorically tied, but my brain is
Wired.
wired are the
Mhm.
times that I get most inspired, and I just sit there and think.
Yeah, you started the caffeine song in the
Yeah,
car.
I do a
think.
lot of. There's a lot of
Yeah,
voice memos
that's
of me in my
interesting.
car just.
Yeah.
He
He does it when I'm not around because I would kill him for
Yeah, so
doing that.
I'm most inspired when I am completely unable to make a difference, but totally mentally
You're in the zone.
rocking. Yeah,
I
so
love that. Okay. Well, and I think the walking in nature is a biggie too, because that's one of the ones that I lean into. I start every day with a walk outside. Okay. So if someone approached you that's thinking about starting a business, taking that leap out on their own, and asked you for a single piece of advice, what would you tell them?
do your research.
that's so funny because
100%. Okay, when we started the business, this is where we differ.
Yep.
Okay.
yep,
Whenever because I started the pet portrait business over the pandemic because
Yep.
I needed extra money.
Sure.
Weddings were not happening.
Yep.
I before I did anything, literally probably spent 2 full weeks just at the kitchen table researching everything I could, taking notes, reading everything I possibly could about starting a business, how to do it legally, like setting everything up. And then once I figured it all out, obviously I learned more as you go. Then I jumped into it. Whereas
Okay.
Tom's like the opposite. He's
Well,
like jump into it first.
hilarious.
And then deal with
I
the
was going to say,
problems.
I can't
Yeah.
wait to hear his
So,
answer
I got to
now.
think a little bit while she was talking too. So I have 2 parts, but one was simply start building. Like just start.
Just
Whatever
start.
that means, start. And it's different with every business you might want to start,
Mhm.
but there's always something you can do to get started. And so that's my thing is like start small, but just simply start. Stop sitting here and thinking I'd like to do that and just start thinking about, okay, what's the first step I'm taking towards doing that?
Mm.
And then the other thing I would say is if you can, find a mentor because there's
Yes.
probably
Mm.
somebody just like you who started 10 years ago who can tell you every turn to take and every dead end to avoid
Yeah.
and the
Mhm.
quickest path towards success.
I think
So,
that balanced us out really well starting the photo business because he was more willing to do that. He was a part of like Facebook groups of already established photographers. So while I was over there doing all of the nitty gritty research, he was talking to other people and we were able to kind of combine our knowledge and figure out exactly what we had to do to start out. But
Well, just based on your 2 answers, I think we know why you guys work so well together.
Right, I'm starting. She's researching.
If you were both the ones who are like, we gotta have everything perfect and then we'll do it,
Nothing
you know,
would
it
get
could be a
done.
problem. So
Yeah,
it's like you kind of need, because I mean, I found with myself, I have to kind of do both sides of that, where sometimes I have to be the risk taker and other times I need someone to be like, calm down, like just, yeah. So that's awesome that you guys have those bases covered. So, I mean, you guys have so much going on. It must take up so much of your time. I'm sure it has moments in your relationship where it can be challenging. All of the sacrifices that you guys make, the stress, is it worth it?
Yes,
Totally, yeah.
absolutely. Because I've just never been somebody who, and I don't mean this in like a bad way, but can necessarily work for somebody else.
Mhm.
I don't find motivation in it. It's really hard for me. So for me, being my own boss, I love it. There are sacrifices. We don't do weekends. We don't have weekends.
Yeah.
Literally.
We've missed friends' weddings.
Yep.
There's a lot that we miss. We don't really get to go to friends' parties. We don't, weekends
Don't get to go to
exist.
anything
We
on
don't
the
get to do
weekend.
anything.
Literally, yeah.
But we do get to decide when we want to go on a vacation, and we don't have to ask anybody.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
just get to do it.
And I love the building process. Like, I love the scalability of like self-employed entrepreneurship. I think just knowing that like I can earn as much as I can earn, like
Yeah.
as much as I can handle, as much as I can take on, as big as I can scale myself. That's how big I can get. And so it's a real kind of sky's the limit type of energy. Or maybe the sky's not the limit and I don't ever want to hit the sky. Maybe I
Yeah.
just want to stay comfortably at a spot where I'm not overworked, and I'm not overstressed, but I am comfortable and happy. And so getting that ultimate say is really nice. And just like the process of seeing things grow
Yeah.
and knowing that, we can take steps to make them grow. I think that's inspiring. I think doing the same thing would probably, it's just like, what's the point?
Yeah.
If it's not growing, what's the point?
I know it fills you up in a way. I mean, I don't think entrepreneurship is for everyone, but I know it's for me because I did work the 9 to 5 and there was just something missing. And I mean, even when I'll go home and I'll be so burned out, I'll be in that place of burnout. I have to just remind myself, I'm like, I'm so fulfilled. Like, I'm so proud. Sometimes I'll like walk through my store or we'll do something and it'll be such a great content day and I'll see the career that's building for Jenna and I'm like, I get to do this. Like, this is awesome, And so I think I don't think I could ever go back, as challenging as the days can be. But well, you guys have been amazing. I'm so glad that you guys agreed to do this. I mean, I'm a huge fangirl of both of you, and I love seeing you guys kill it in everything that you do. So thank you so much for coming. And for everyone listening, if you liked this episode, please like, subscribe, and share. Thanks for watching and listening. Be sure to follow us on all the socials: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook.